Hey, welcome to another edition of Friday Night Front Stretch, taking the pulse of the RC Nation in Nebraska and beyond. Welcome, guys. We're doing another one here. How the heck? Yeah, I gotta remove that. There we go.
There we go.
Oh, we still got
Valentine's Day. Yeah, Valentine's Day.
How'd that
You
happen?
still have a hard on for all your drivers. So that's
There you
awesome.
go.
There you go. That's
How about
blue.
that?
That's what we were going for.
All right.
Marketing people love the color blue.
Love the color blue. It's easy to watch.
Blues and reds. Yep.
And relaxing. Hey guys, welcome, Chuck. We're back on for another edition. We are about a month and a half out from the 2025 season here at Outlaw Raceway Park.
So yeah,
and we got a lot of things to talk about tonight. How are you doing today?
Good. So you said about 6 weeks. That means I got about 5 weeks and 5 days to start to blow off, and then finally get to prepping my car. So, no, actually, I just got some parts, I don't know, a couple weeks ago from DDM, and I had some parts on order that came through, so should be good to go. But good, man, good. Had the big hip surgery 2 weeks ago.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about. We want to first off, we got some people that have some illnesses that I want to send a shout out and prayers to. One was
Yeah.
Dennis
Yep.
Stevens. You know,
Yep.
Dennis, I went down to Gator Nationals and he had good results back from his tests on his
Yeah.
cancer that he's had. And
Yep.
we're really, really thankful for that he's getting
Huge.
better. Good
Right.
thing. The other one is, I believe her name is Holly Jensen out of Aurora.
Mhm.
Jensen.
Yeah. That's
She's
yep.
battling some cancer
Rob.
herself, and we want to send prayers out to
Yep.
her. I don't know Holly all that well, but I've worked with her with some scoring issues up there at Jensen at one time.
Sure.
Great gal. She, and that's really positive is when you get your wives, your girlfriends, whatever to help out.
Right.
Takes
Or
the
both.
load, or
Get
both.
your wives and your
Yeah,
girlfriend.
and your girlfriends both. Yeah,
Make
exactly. So,
create a little drama.
but that helps, and
Yeah.
she's a big
Yep.
supporter of Rob Jensen. They're having the Battle of the Barn
Yeah, that'll be big. I think
Saturday.
last race, 108 cars. Is that right? I think that's what he had,
Yeah,
was over
I think
100
so.
cars.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
good for Rob,
Well,
great for
the
the
10 scale
track.
community is very strong, no
Yeah,
doubt
they're
about it.
big. Big,
Well,
big,
we
big.
want to send prayers out to Holly and to Dennis getting better, and
Yeah.
yourself. You
Thank
had hip replacement.
I did, yeah. I went into the orthopedic office back in December, and I said, "Yeah, it's just been bugging me for about 3 years now. I keep putting it off." Blah
Mm.
blah blah. Long story short, he walks in with and I know the guy really well. He walks in with it was just a big old grin.
Chainsaw, ready to take the hip out.
Yeah, a big old grin on his face, and I was like, "What's going on?" He said, "Man," he said, "I have never seen such a shitty, pardon me, hip in my life." I was
Well, you
like,
can say that.
yeah, he did. Oh, he definitely did. Yeah, he totally did.
Oh,
And
wow.
then, because like I said, I've been in cases with him, so we get along well.
Right.
And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, your hip is effed." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." He said, "It's shot." I said, "So no cortisone shot?" He's like, "Chuck, you're like 90% bone on bone."
Oh, shoot.
He said, "There's nothing to put the cortisone into, man." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So anyway, started that back in, I don't know, started really hitting the weights and training better, more
Mhm.
focused on my hip structure.
Sure.
I've
They
had
come
it
with
done 2 weeks ago, and Dr.
oh,
Lee is actually the surgeon that ended up doing it. It was different from the initial orthopod that I know,
sure.
younger guy. He's like, "Yeah, I don't treat old people." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Well, I don't do hips on old people." And I said, "Well, I'm 53." And he's like, "Yeah, but you got the hip of a 103-year-old." He
Oh,
said, "No,
shoot.
you got to be under 50 for me to cut on you." And
You
I was like,
know,
"Really?" So,
my dad was supposed to have hip replacement. Now, this is
oh,
back in the '90s, so things
oh,
have
baby,
changed a little bit.
yeah, a little
And
different.
so, he did some research and he says, "Nope, I'm not having
And
it done." And they go,
yeah,
"Why?" He says, "Because they take your," and I don't know what they do today, but they
yeah,
take your hip, they dislocate it,
yep.
and then they put the foot behind your back, your neck.
Well, I don't know about that,
So I
but
hope you're not awake when you saw that they're lifting your leg up.
yeah,
But
that'd be a different
and
website to
dad
go
says,
to.
"No, he's not gonna have it." But, well,
No,
good for you guys. Like I said,
yeah,
we'll
we're
send
getting
prayers
healthy.
to you and Ollie and Dennis and go from there. We got something new that, we wanna talk, and guys, get on chat. We'll, say hi, tell us where you're from if you're new. We appreciate everybody coming on and supporting Friday Night French Stretch. Well, we got these guys. Dennis, I mean, not Dennis, Chuck has worked tirelessly on getting these hats made. This is just a sample hat right now.
Hmm.
You're wearing his.
Yeah, I got mine on. Yep.
But hat that we're doing a little bit of swag for the race
Yeah.
track.
Yep.
Sorry, Chuck.
We look a lot alike, apparently. I'll take that as a compliment.
Once you get your new hip, you look good. You look
There
like
you go.
Dennis is
Exactly.
character, so you're a character. So anyway, I'm digressing here, but explain a little bit to everybody out there about the hats and possible
Yeah.
t-shirts coming.
Well, and I mean, we're looking at a couple of different options, as far as how things are going to be provided. That nothing's been finalized yet, so don't have any idea on pricing or anything. Mainly at this point is just working with a local vendor. We're going to work with someone local here and see what we can do to provide swag to you and provide it in a way that it's of your choosing, right? So if you want to do a purple hat with a yellow vinyl piece in the back, boom, you can do it. Rather than, hey, we've got 300 black and gray hats. You need to buy one of these, for these if you want to be with one of the in crowd. So we're mixing it up that way. We are looking at different options for T-shirts. I call it the I call it the Chuck Burnley level, which is like the entry level shirt, and then they've got the Mike Wellman, race organizer, race track owner shirt, the high level, the first class. So
Right.
what we're trying to do, Mike, is he's the rep that I'm working with, trying to give the drivers options. If they want to buy a X dollar T-shirt, great, we have that. If they're like, hey, I want to spend a little bit more, get a little different material, etc.,
Mhm.
that'll be available as well. The beauty of all of it is, as I said, it's all done locally. And the plan is that we'll have we have a store, an online store, if you will, be open for a couple weeks, and then the orders will close, everything will process, and then we'll bring it to the track. And the guy that I'm working with said we can do as many stores as we want. He's just found that a 2-week cycle is a pretty good time to run it. So we're going to
Sure.
do that. And like I said, everything from hats. Mike and I were kind of joking ahead of time. I said, what about some koozies? That'd be kind of cool. Sure enough,
Koozie.
they got them. They
Yep.
got them on their website.
Yep.
So just trying to find something to, it's
Yep.
every year you try to do something to plus or to add to the experience. And this
Right.
year, Mike was open to doing this, and I appreciate that. And
Well, you and Kim has really
yeah,
got on the ball here.
yeah,
I
she's been
haven't done
great.
anything because I got other
Yeah,
issues going on,
it's all right.
but yeah, you guys got on the ball with this.
Yeah.
Now these hats that I showed you or Chuck's
Hmm.
wearing, they are not screen printed. They are
No, these
actually
are yeah
embroidered. So
embroidered. Yep. Yeah.
so and we're hoping we get I think trying to get the price point between 20 and $25.
Yeah, and it's one of those guys, full disclosure, it's not a moneymaker for the track at all.
No, no,
If it
no.
was, what we would do is we would just buy a whole crap ton of them at
Yeah.
a much better price and then
Better
sell them
price,
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I
it
plan
is
on
what it is. I mean,
yeah, I plan on buying, hats and T-shirts and bring them out here so they're available.
right,
If
right,
if a consumer wants one, a spectator wants one, at least I have them on hand and sell them
right, right.
right here from the racetrack. So great deal, Chuck.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's gonna
good
be
deal.
cool.
Yeah,
Trying to
good deal.
push
Well,
for some
yeah,
sweatshirts if we can. I mean, we're just like I said, we're kind of in the whole trying to figure out the phase of it. And McKim, you had mentioned, has been awesome because I think one of her kids was at Wesleyan or maybe
Wesleyan.
the high
Yep.
school or
No,
something.
Wesleyan. Yep. I don't
Yeah,
know about
she
high
has some
school, but
experience.
Wesleyan for sure. Yeah.
So she's been awesome to help. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll keep you posted. More information to follow, as they
Yeah.
say.
Well, advertising is probably the biggest thing. And
Yeah,
like I said, I'm not making anything off these. Basically,
it's not a profit source,
it's not a
right?
profit source. It's just
Right.
getting my name out there, building the
Yep.
track up a little bit, and just I like a good hat. Like I
Yeah,
won this
and
hat
these
down.
I did. I know, and I mean, let's see, is Howard on? Howard's on, but Todd's not. These are good quality hats. I know.
I wish I know how you figure out how they're on because I can't see nobody.
Well, I
I
see it I've got it on my screen. We talk about it afterwards, but
Okay.
these are good quality hats. One of the things I told Mike is I don't want to be part of something if it's going to be half-assed.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right,
you go big, go home, buy once, cry once, and get them a good hat, and people will pay for it. What I
right.
don't want is somebody getting a hat and it's kind of janky. It looks horrible. It doesn't fit
Sure,
well,
sure. Yep,
and they
yep,
just wasted $20 on it. So
yep, yep.
so yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. The guy that we're working with has been awesome, and obviously more info to follow on that, and we'll make sure that we give those guys a plug at
Yep.
the place that we're working with.
Yep,
So
yep,
hopefully,
yep.
in the next month we should have everything closed out and ready to go for
Hopefully,
people.
we can have them have some for the quarter scale dirt nationals too, and have the logo.
We do some
and stuff.
specials. Yep,
Yeah,
we'll be
yeah,
able to
yeah.
do specials
So,
for that as
yeah.
well. Yep, yep,
Another thing coming down is we're going to have a lot of different people coming online as a guest this year.
yeah, yep.
We're going to we have Brian Howard and
That'll be good.
Douglas will be
Yep,
coming on. They're the co-chairs and
yep,
of CUSAC, and really talk maybe more like the insurance changes and stuff like that, so they can explain what happened.
yep.
We're going to have the Dallas Fort Worth guys come on. They're willing to come on right before the Asphalt Nationals. We have another guy. I'll mention his name, Randy Brown. He's been out here. He's a quarter scale racer, and he's been out here two times for the Dirt Nationals. He probably like to come on, from what I was told.
Yeah,
Of course, Todd Holloway and Chris Stump and Paul Covington will be on right before the Dirt Nationals. So we've got a lot of
yep.
things
And
going
those are
on.
quarter scale tracks, guys. I mean,
Yep.
those are quarter scalers. We're also working the fifth scale angle as
Yep.
well. trying to get some folks out of the big southeast, obviously actually that whole eastern seaboard there. I've been having some conversations with Todd and Brian, and we're trying to find some fish scale guys out of that area as well.
Yeah,
So
if you guys are on and know some fish scales that like to, I know. Oh, there's one guy. What was his name out of Illinois? Sebastian Speedway. Gosh darn it, I forgot his name. He's a fish scale driver. He's having that race in August. It's a $10,000 purse.
oh yeah, that one.
I can't think what his name. I went blank on me. And if he's on, sorry, I'll
10
apologize.
grand.
Yeah,
10,000.
supposedly a $10,000 purse, but he's a fish scale guy.
Yeah.
He was down at the Gator Nationals this couple weeks ago, so we'll have him on talk about the fish scales, not just quarter but fish scales. So, got a lot of neat things going on this year, and plus driver interviews and stuff like that throughout the summer. We're going to talk a little bit about the Gator Nationals. Well, let's go with comments before we get into the Gators. Let's look here. Nick Buss says hello.
Where's Nick out of? I don't remember.
Nick is out of Iowa. His dad was Rick Buss. Rick Buss and his uncle Mike Buss passed away just not too long ago. But Nick was a little kid then when I used to race at the Outlaw Raceway Park in the 90s.
The original.
Yes. And Rick was, so if you know the Buss brothers racing, oh man, they were so much fun. And they talk shit to you on the driver's stand, and you start laughing and you forget where your car is at. So Rick was a hell of a guy, and he passed away, and then Mike just passed away not too long ago. So the only Buss brother left was Eddie, and we called him Fast Eddie Buss. So
Fast Eddie Buss.
And he wasn't that fast, but he was, god dang, those guys were fun to race with. That's something that I think a lot of people lose content of what this is about. It's RC car, and you have fun, and that's I still laugh today. I'm sure if Kim's watching, she'd be laughing too. So Nick Buss, thanks for coming on. Brian Howard, one of our co-chairs, and we talked about him, trying to get him on here in the next couple of weeks, maybe April 11th we talked about. So Brian, kind of keep an eye on that. There's my buddy Todd Holloway. He's retired now, so he can sit there and watch this stuff.
He's got plenty of time.
You don't have to go to work anymore
or go to bed. He was saying he used to get up at 4. What did he do for
4 a.m. in the morning? He worked for GM, General Motors.
Crap.
Yeah.
Man, that's early. I think I get up and take a whiz at 4 a.m. and then I'm right back to bed, man. I could not function at 4 a.m. every day.
And then Nick Buss says Ed just got done dealing with cancer. He's also been thinking, oh yeah, that's hard. Okay, we send prayers out to Mike too on his deal. Let's see. Todd says, "Oh bullshit, I'm right here."
When he wasn't on, I was going to make a comment, but I figured I better not if Holloway was on.
Randy Order, he's one of our locals. Kind of backed off because of the traveling time, and he came out to the National Chuck. He looked good in a hat. I never seen.
Yeah, covers up the ugly. What it does,
covers
Randy,
up the bald head.
Exactly, covers up the ugly is what it does. So it's not glaring in the screen.
And Todd Russell Decker, thanks Todd. That's I have so many names in my head right now. Russell Decker with the fish scales at Sebastian Speedway. And I think we talked to Russell a little bit. And I introduced Russell to Todd Holloway about, we're doing this 3-race series with the quarter scale dirt cars. And I knew Russell prior to this. We've talked quite a bit online and Facebook and stuff. Hell of a nice guy. And we're thinking about getting them on our circuit next year.
Nice.
And so we'll have a 4-race series instead of a 3-race series.
Where's he at in Illinois, Mike?
I don't know. Todd, if you're on, let me know where he's exactly from.
Because if he's like Quad Cities, that's an easy drive.
Yeah, I think it's not too far. Yeah, it's not too far from the quads. Yeah.
Nice. So, very nice.
Let's see. Paul Decker or Paul David Covington is on. He beat me in the race
down
up there.
south.
Yeah, he beat me.
Paul David Covington sounds like a serial killer.
Sound like a rock star. Sound like guns and not guns and pedals or something. So anyway, we're just having fun with you guys. But anyway, we're going to talk about the Gator Nationals and just what I've saw, what I've done me personally. Sorry, guys, my phone's going off for whatever reason. So,
Because they know you're online and messing
because
with you.
that's probably what it is. But the Gator, I tell you what, guys, and this is my opinion. If you race fifth scales or quarter scale, man, you got to put that on your bucket list.
Hmm.
What a track! What a facility!
Hmm.
It's incredible when you pull up and you see this big dome or this Quonset thing on top, and then you go to the track and it is banked up to the hills. It's probably, and I don't know, Todd probably or Paul, you can probably comment on it since you guys are down there. It might be the same length, but it has longer straightaways but tinier corners. But boy, tighter. I tell you what, you have to at least go down once in the fifth scales. Holy Christ, can they run around that track? They don't lift. They do not lift. Where we are lifted a little bit.
You have to get it to turn, right? Yep, they're banked. Is it, Mike, on the banking? Do you think it's what? Oh shoot, I just blanked on down south of here. Oh man, I apologize. Endicott. Is it banked like Endicott was? Do you think, or
it probably is, but it's a lot wider.
Gotcha.
There's so much room to maneuver.
Gotcha.
You know, one thing that I noticed when I was in the feature, there's 5 of us on the lead lap, and we come out of turn 4, and we'd raced hard with each other for 2-3 laps side by side, and nobody touched anybody. We changed lanes. We went in the corners together. It was such a fun race for those 4 or 5 laps until we all start spreading out again.
Right.
But it was so much fun. The thing that I noticed about that clay surface, though, was, and I noticed it Thursday and Friday, especially Thursday, was that clay would just adhere to your tires.
Okay.
And I did not. And see, I was used to Liberty, where Liberty tires are pretty clean. And I didn't bring a bucket. I didn't bring a brush. I didn't bring anything to clean my tires because they were just loaded with that clay, you know.
Yep.
Now, when Saturday rolled around, it wasn't as bad.
So it blued in, it rubbered in.
So it must have rolled in better. It must have, I don't know, but I noticed that the clay was just like glue. It just stuck to your tires and you're digging it out. And you know, everybody had their buckets out, and I'm thinking, oh man, I left mine at home.
Did they, because it's clay in the surface, did you see guys doing any kind of prep? Whether it was legal or not, doesn't matter.
I think they were prepping because the track got darker. I know one of the things that I noticed when I got there, people were grinding the hell out of their tires. They got actually grinders.
And are they using the BRP, the same tires we use?
No, they're not using Bishop. They're using, I don't know. Anyway, whatever Fisco guys use. I don't know. Probably the same tires you guys use.
Okay.
But they're just
grinding them down. Like grooving them? Like grooving?
Some were grooving. Some were grooving. They had their grooving irons out.
Sure.
Some of them had them on like a stand made for grinding, you know?
Nice.
Because I noticed all this rubber dust in the air, and I could smell the rubber as I'm walking through the pits. And I'm looking over, and I'm thinking, these guys are grinding the tires, you know? And I'm thinking, man, those tires, those tires can't be, those tires can't be that thick to grind, and they just grind. I started laughing because I thought, man, I'm at a World Outlaws track or somewhere. But yeah, so they don't dope. Todd Holloway said not quarter scale don't dope,
gotcha.
But fifth scales can dope.
Gotcha.
And so I saw some guys in there with their doping their tires and stuff like that. So
whatever. Right.
Yeah. So that was something I noticed a lot.
So the clay, Mike, you're talking about the clay, and maybe this is me getting too much into the weeds, for lack of a better phrase, but different than running on the dirt up here, right?
Yes.
Because up here you could throw your car in and bring the ass end around versus up there. I'm guessing you were pretty much on a rail the whole way.
I think you were. There was really no cushion. Like we all have a cushion up here in our track. I mean, you'll see the cushion forming on top.
Right.
And last year I played with the cushion myself with my quarter scale. And if I hit it just right, it will turn you just like the big cars do. So I thought that was going on. Just got off work. Okay. I was just reading something here, but yeah. So there was really no cushion to speak of. I know The feature Saturday, if I ran out of the line, okay, because you can see the colors changing. Because there's a lot of classes. My gosh, they started at 1 and they didn't get done till probably 10 or 11,
Wow.
And because there's so many classes, they had B features, they had B feature 1,
Sure.
B feature 2, they had A feature 1, A feature 2, and all this stuff. But you can see the color of the track changing. It went from on the bottom. You really didn't want to be on the bottom because it was kind of slick,
Okay.
or kind of heavy. And
Okay.
then they had the black groove, and then it went to that color of the clay.
Hmm.
And I found that once I got off that black groove, at least for Saturday, car didn't handle really as well. So yeah. So that was something that I noticed in that. But they also have, and I'll have a video here, guys, to show you. And I copied some pictures from other people that posted of the track and our trip and everything. So we'll get that on here pretty soon. But the other thing is it's all concrete slabs all the way around. You get a 10 by 10 area. A lot of guys will back their trailers up, and then the 10 by 10 for me was kind of small because you got so much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of guys with the trailers would back up and they use a 10 by 10 to kind of stage off of, grind their tires and stuff. But they did most of their work in the trailers. So, and they all got trailers, it seems like, except for a few. So,
a lot of them with air conditioners on them, I imagine, too.
Especially
down in that world. Woo, baby.
Well, the temperature wasn't that bad. Matter of fact, toward the evening, I was getting cold.
Yeah, but not for March.
Oh,
but
no, I was getting cold.
I want to be down there in July, August.
Yeah.
Right.
So, anyway, let's see what else. Nick Buss says, I found pictures from the Knoxville Nationals, my quarter sale. Send it to you to check it out. Great. I'll post that. Todd Holloway says, not quarter scale, but fifth scale dopes. Yep.
Gotcha.
Sure. Russell Decker just said, what's going on? Just got off work. Thanks.
Russell's was he the gentleman out of Illinois?
Yes, out of Illinois. Russell, where exactly are you from? And
what town?
And what is
track?
And what track? I think you said Sebastian.
Or what town? Yeah.
And what town? So we can kind of locate you there. So, but anyway. So anyway, I got some times here, and what I did versus what the leader did. And Thursday night we practiced and we had 4 rounds, and I think it was 5 minutes each. And each class went out for 5 minutes. I believe it was 5 minutes, or it was Russell Decker said Gladstone, Illinois is great.
Yeah, I'm gonna see where that's at.
But anyway, round 1, of course, Todd Holloway. Now these times will definitely get better as I'm reading them, but Todd Holloway is the fastest practice, and that one was a 7.97. I had a 0 time because I blew the right front tire on the car, so I didn't get any times in. Second round, John Pepchok. He's a local guy out here for the Dirt Nationals. Yeah, you remember John, don't you?
Yeah.
Yep. He had a 7.52. And my best time was 8.69.
Dang.
And I found out that my right rear tire shredded. So that's why my time.
Well, that'll do it.
And I thought, holy moly, I'm a full second behind everybody. I thought this is going to be a long weekend.
Yeah, because if you're just going every 8 laps, you got lapped. Basically.
Yeah, I got lapped.
Oh my gosh.
Round 3, John Pepchok again set fast time with a 7.05. 7 seconds. I got better, but I'm still a full second behind. I got 8.09.
Yeah, but you dropped half second. So, like you said, you're getting better. Right.
Yeah, I'm getting better. Now, somebody asked me what the fifth scales times are, and I just kind of randomly looked on Live RC, and you could do that. Go to Live RC and look up Springfield Raceway. The super late models out there, they were running, the fastest lap that I saw was a 6.58.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. And you have to understand something if you're a guest on the show and stuff and don't know what fifth scales versus quarter scale is. They're 30cc motor. I don't know if they're unlimited, or I don't know what it is with the super late models.
Class. Right.
But the quarter scales, because we're running such slow times, we're restricted to, because they're running gyros, which helps them turn.
Sure.
We don't have all that. We're restricted on a carburetor. We're restricted with a manifold, basically. We've got live axles. We don't have diffs. we're situated on one tire where they can choose different tires and grind and dope and stuff.
Sure.
So, our 7-second versus 8.5 6.5 is pretty.
Well,
I
that's
think
pretty darn good.
pretty
Well, yeah,
good.
heck
Yeah.
yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah. So if you look at the fifth scale sprint cars, okay, like we have out here locally with Mike Garrett and those guys, their fastest time was a 6.71. So we're not that far off, with the quarter scale, considering that we're limited to tires, we're limited on no live axle, we don't have a gyro, we don't dope.
we're still very respectable.
Very respectable time. Round 4 came around, and I thought, okay, I'm getting better on time, but so is everybody else. So I'm not gaining nothing here.
Well, no, but you're improving from a self standpoint.
Yes.
Right.
So I went in round 4, which is the last round, and I made some adjustments. And Paul Covington had a 7.4, and I had a 7.88. So I went to bed Thursday night thinking, the car's getting faster. Okay. Right. I'm not necessarily the fastest out there, but I'm seeing signs of improvement. And that makes a big difference. When you start seeing improvement in your car, you have something there.
Right. Go in the right direction at least. Yeah. Right.
Night 1 on Friday. And again, we had 10 sprint cars, quarter scale guys there. We got some brand new guys coming, walkers. What was this? Tony Walker and his dad. I think his dad is named John. Super nice guy. You'll love him, Chuck, when he comes out. He's coming here. Yeah. We had great conversations sitting in this trailer.
Good.
Very down to earth.
Where are they out of? Do you remember where they're out of?
Walker's out of Kentucky.
Oh, okay. So that'll be a drive.
Yeah. And Tony's a champion. If you think about it, Todd Holloway's a past champion.
Yep.
Walker's an asphalt champion.
God, that's gonna be
then
fun.
you can look in the Dirt National Championships. You got John Pepchok, Todd Holloway. Yep. So we're racing against some pretty quality cars,
Right.
Dave Perello out of McCheesy Park was there. I raced with him. Oh God, back in the 90s. Didn't even recognize the guy because that was so long.
That's
and then
cool.
Gunthy, I believe it was Kevin Gunthy. He was fast for the first time on dirt. All these guys is the first time on dirt.
I was just going to say, it'd be interesting just to get there. It was fun listening to Todd and Paul and those guys but 4 years ago when you got the Dirt Nationals, talking about the differences between asphalt and dirt. And I bet those guys that came off asphalt onto dirt, the ones you mentioned, I bet they were wide-eyed, man. It's a whole different world, baby.
Yeah. I asked Todd if we soured these guys, because you know what, they're virgins coming on dirt, right? Yeah. And a lot of us have, like me, I've got experience on dirt because that's all I've done for the last 12 years is race dirt. Right. Todd Holloway's experience on dirt, Paul Covington, Chris Stump, all those. And they said, no, I think they had a good time. They talked about it and stuff like that. So
good.
Very cool. Qualifying night on Friday night, we get into the mains. Of course, Todd was top qualifier with a 7.47. Nice. And if you notice, we're really not gaining time. The track was getting better, but we're just not. We didn't run the 7-second lap that John ran, and I finished second in the 7.68 for qualifying. So I really. It really got improved, and I was happy. I changed tires. I did some adjustments. I still can't get the car to rotate very good. It was tight as hell.
But that could have been the track too, right? I mean, because you're coming from a very loose dirt track.
But everybody else was turning pretty corners. So when I went into qualifying, I thought, God, that second qualifier, 7.68. I'm only a couple tenths behind Todd. I mean, geez,
gotta be proud of that.
I was really happy with it. Then we went into the main, and Todd won it. He won the Friday night feature, and his fast time was 7.2. So he got really fast. Okay. Me, I got faster. I got down to a 7.55, but I finished fourth. Fourth in the feature. I could not get the car to rotate. I had to slam the brakes on, otherwise it'll push right into the wall. And so I slam it on the brakes, get it to turn, and I finished a respectable fourth. And I'm happy with fourth.
Podium, right?
Podium is 3 places. So,
Okay, okay.
yeah, I just felt that the car was better compared to Thursday. But I still wasn't.
If you could have done something, something different that night, what would you have done differently to get that car to loosen up more? What do you think you were missing that you couldn't get it to break loose so it wasn't so locked down?
I don't know, maybe a spring change.
Hmm,
But I thought, I thought I was so close that I didn't really want to do major changes and then
sure,
screw myself in the heat races so I get
right,
into the feature.
right.
When I brung the car off the track, I was looking at it, and thanks for this guy named Cody. He works for Dennis. He
Oh
was
yeah, yeah. He's a
he,
good kid.
I've got such
Yeah,
a bad back right now that I can't lift my cars anymore. And Cody came and helped me. And Todd was pretty happy. He won his race, and he came back after his little picture taking.
he's very comfortable on the winter
Yeah,
stand. That's for sure. He
he's
should
real
be.
comfortable around the
That's
camera
impressive.
because yeah,
It's
yeah.
impressive.
And I asked Todd, I says, look at this belt drive. I says, it looks like it's running too far to the left on top of my gear. And so, and here's one thing about the quarter scale guys, drivers in our league. And of course, probably not all of them are that way, but most of them are. If you asked a question or if you need help on something, they're willing to come over and help.
Sure, sure.
Um,
But they're not all like Paul Covington,
they're not
right?
all like Puff Covington where he's stuck up. So, but
That's cool that they're willing to help. So you notice that the belt drive isn't aligned
yeah,
properly.
yeah. And
Okay.
so I had Todd come over. He messed with the rear end and this and this, and he put a spacer in my gear,
Mm.
and the belt started running more smoothly.
So it wasn't bound up.
Well, it could have been bound up a little bit. I'm not saying I didn't lose horsepower, but
Mhm.
Todd come over and helped me get the rear end lined a little better. And then we went into the Saturday event for the seeding round, which is qualifying. Todd again, fast time 7.440, and I was fourth with a 767.
Dang.
So,
0.2 of a second.
man,
Wow.
I can't figure out how to get horsepower out of it. I mean,
Right.
get around the corner and go for it. Um, the heat race, I don't remember what I did in the heat. Oh, I finished. I think I finished second in the heat, which I felt pretty good about. You know,
Yeah.
um, but I just didn't think I had anything for Todd and,
Hmm.
Chris Stump and Paul Covington. All those guys are out in front there, and so right before the feature, I'm looking at the car. I borrowed a tire from Paul because my right front blew, so I borrowed, and that helped a little bit. And I asked Brandon Stevens because we got talking about that all the way down, uh, down to the 15-hour drive, and we got
Hmm.
talking, and I said I like to figure out how I get, and he said, well, man, he mentioned droop. So I went
Okay.
back to the trailer because we were parked totally different. I went back to Brandon and I said, so tell me about this droop on these cars. I know what it is.
Mhm.
And he told me what to do, and then make sure when you do your droop, you go back to your ride height. You don't, because it'll change your ride height a little bit.
Right. Right.
And droop is just basically how your shock's extended or closed up.
Right.
So I says, I'm not out of anything. Okay. I'm running fourth. I'm at mid pack. I'm
You got to
not
do
out of
something.
anything.
Right. You got to do
And
something.
so I changed the droop, nothing else, put gas in it, make sure everything's tight, and went out for the main. And I'm gonna tell you, that car, I would say the car helped, but I'm sure the track came in for this car to work.
Sure.
So I
Sure.
don't know where to give the credit to,
Right.
but I could put that car anywhere. Unfortunately, I got myself in some trouble. I was leading, and once I got in the lead, I mean, I was way out there, and
Okay.
I went into turn 3 and 4. I turned too quickly and got down into the bottom of that mush.
Yeah.
And there I go. I went
Right.
from first to fourth pretty quickly.
Hero to zero.
Yep,
Yep.
yep,
Yep.
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 And so I worked my way back up into second,
Nice.
and I
Nice.
got in behind Paul Covington, and we followed each other throughout the entire night. And
Hmm.
I knew I had a car to get him. I just didn't want to do the nasty way by
Uh-oh.
booting him, because that's
Right.
not
Right.
how I want to race. And
No. No. No.
and when we got on the white lap. I got in right behind him. I mean, into turns 1 and 2, and I was right on his ass. And I went into 3 and 4, and I went high, and I thought, I'm going for it now, right? This
Yeah,
is the
good for
checker
you.
flag. So I'm standing on it. I'm on top, and he's on the bottom. And all of a sudden, I come out of 4, and I went, wee! And you know what that means? Belt. I struck the
Oh,
belt because I knew I had him. I thought I had him. I could have had him. Maybe not. I don't know. We won't know because
how old was the belt? What had the you
brand
been running
new.
the? Oh shit.
I put a brand new belt on before I went out for the feature because that's what I do. I always put brand new
Right.
belts on.
No, and that's what I was wondering if maybe you
And
forgot to
that
do
belt
that or
went, and I looked at I looked at Paul and I says, "God, I hope this was the last lap of the race."
something.
So yeah.
uh,
So anyway, but Paul ran a fantastic line.
yeah.
He was funny because he.
At this point with those guys, right? I mean, and we've got them here on at our local level too. It's those guys you get behind. It's like Gatskis, right?
Mm,
You have to wait for them to screw up. Really,
right.
is what you're doing. You're right on their tail end. You're following them around, just waiting for them to make a mistake so you can
Well,
buzz around
I
them.
got
But
to
that's
tell,
like,
I brought poor Paul up there when we had yellows. He was just shaking. He was, and I just looked at him. I said, "How bad do you want this?" He goes, "Oh man," he said, "I want this bad." He says, "Okay,"
that's
and I
awesome.
told him, I said, "I'll leave you alone. I won't
That's
give you the
awesome.
bumper or anything. I'll race you as clean
Right.
as
The
possible,
chrome horn.
but
Right.
get when you can, you know." And
Right.
I thought to myself, man, if he screws up, I'm going to eat his lunch.
And again, and that's why those drivers. I mean, I was watching Drive to Survive. I think it's F1, the
Hmm.
F1 series, and these guys are multi-million-dollar. They're all 22. They're like me. They're young, good-looking, really fit dudes. Or
There you go. Yeah,
amazing
yeah, yeah,
drivers,
yeah,
just
yeah,
like me.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
But these guys talk about the intensity and the nerves and
mm,
how hard it is to stay focused on what you're doing and just tuning everything else out. So
yeah,
there's
yeah.
Paul up there. He knows you're right in his shadow. You're in his right
Well,
hip pocket and he's trying to finish this thing out. So very
Paul is
cool.
Paul is so tall. Okay, I'm a
Yeah,
little guy. Paul's way up here, right?
yeah,
And
yep.
I'm looking over like this. I'm looking at his hands, eye level, right? And
Right,
he's
right,
just.
right, right.
And-
Yeah, good for him. Good
but
for him.
you know what? Sometimes the little guy can get the acorn every now and then. You know what I'm
There you
saying?
go. There you go.
I was more happy for Paul winning that
Yeah,
race. I come
yeah.
off the driver's stand and I felt like I won the race, but Paul
Sure.
did.
Well, it was a
And
good race though, right? I mean, you
it
guys
was
put
a
on a great show.
fantastic
Right,
race, and
right.
and
Put on a great show.
if I didn't finish very well, I said, "Well, that race sucked."
Right.
But because it showed, and I'm hard on myself when it comes to me racing
Yeah.
because I don't know setups as good as other people do.
A
I
better
don't.
driver
I'm kind of like
than
that Dick
crew chief.
Trickle going into the
Yeah,
bar,
yeah,
Harry
yeah.
Gant, and Harry Gant's explaining stuff. And Dick and he's looking around. This trickle guy's looking around and said, "I don't know what you're saying." And that's with me.
Right,
I don't know what you're saying. You got to explain to me what it does.
right.
All these years of racing, even with my modified, I had guys set the cars up. You know, the late models, the little midgets we run. You know, cage carts. I relied on other people to help me. I could probably drive the piss out of something,
Sure.
but it made me feel good that I can race with Paul Covington,
Right.
Todd Holloway, Chris Stump, and not hurting them any, you know, not roughing them up and being in their way and stuff. So I hope I gained a little respect from the upper guys by racing these guys as clean as possible. Now, can I do it all the time clean? No, probably not. You know.
Well, and again, I mean, some of that is the track, right? I mean, you've got a nice tacky, sticky track.
Yep.
You can follow closer with each other, and you don't. I mean, any kind of open wheel, it's always a crapshoot anyway, right? But
Sure.
then
Sure.
when you start getting on a dusty, a dry, slick track, that obviously becomes a bigger challenge. So,
Well, I
but
was
man, it
really
sounds like
happy.
exciting as heck for you, though, man. That's awesome.
I was really happy with the car. We did some changes, a lot of changes, but I was super
Cool.
happy. And of course, I got to give a shout out to Brandon for giving me this idea. Shout out to Todd Holloway for helping me on my alignment of my belt. It just wasn't me; it was a team effort.
Yeah,
Even though
no,
I'm
everybody
not
wants
on the
everybody to
Team
do well,
Holloway racing team. You know, I'm on the
right?
Back Row Motorsports.
Nice. Oh, I love it. I love
So
it.
yeah, we had a really good night, a really good
Good.
week up there. The food was excellent, man. You go up there, the church girls, the kids in the church put on a food
Like a
for
fundraiser
everybody.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, they had some chicken fingers up there. They weren't fingers. They were as
A
size of my palm of my hand.
chicken fillets, right?
And they
Chicken
were
fillets.
breaded just perfect, and I fell in love with them. A little barbecue sauce and some fries. Oh my god, I ate the piss out of them, you know. Hospitality was pretty good. Got to
Nice.
talk to a Tractor Morgan, one of the big fish scale guys out there. Apparently, I had to leave early because we had to go back home that
Get on
night.
the road,
But
right?
Todd was saying that they had Tractor there sitting there and around the fire, and I
Hmm.
kind of missed that. I really missed that part of it. So yeah. But if you're on the bucket list for fish scales, man, do it.
Sounds like it was
Fish
incredible.
scales, quarter scales, man, it was fantastic. Do it. So, but anyway, let's see. Russell Decker.
Gladstone. So Gladstone, I looked it up real quick, Mike, is about an hour west, excuse me, hour east of Burlington is what it looks like on the map. So you're probably talking 5 hours, 6 hours maybe
So
for us.
Russell, where's your track at then in relationship to Gladstone? Is it in the same town? You have to let me know. Tires are TIT. I don't want to say what it
Great
says.
name. Love that name.
I'm not sure
Oh,
what
BSR.
I'm wearing the hat.
Oh yeah, you do have a tit rate.
Yeah.
TIT. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Racing and BSR tires are allowed in the super late model. So that's where
Okay.
they're grinding the tires and
Got it.
piping and
Okay.
everything.
Sorry.
That he says that
Yeah.
you're on limited motor. Yeah, unlimited. Okay. Paul says dirt still sucks.
Got to do a little
In
more
the
cleaning.
meantime,
that's
you
for
had the
sure.
biggest smile when you're walking off the driver's stand. So
That's awesome.
tire track changed every night for sure. Yes, it did.
Interesting. Did they
Paul
do, Mike?
says,
Did they do a lot of prep between the 3 nights, the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night?
that's
Did
one
they
thing that
were they
I
grading it? Were they?
personally, when I was personally interested in is how he prepped his track.
Mm-hmm,
Now, I didn't see how he prepped it before.
right.
He watered it with a big hose, like a fire hose, like
Well,
that
that
year
one
round.
picture you sent, it looked like a swamp. I mean, that thing was
Yeah,
wet.
it was wet.
Yeah.
He rolls it in with a golf cart, not a golf cart, a cage cart.
Gotcha. Go-kart.
Some
Okay.
kind of a cage cart and then some kind of go-kart. That's how he rolled it in. I never got to see what he really did, except for Saturday. He went in there. And one thing about Chris, and I'm the same way, okay, on my track when I prep my track. Sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't, right?
Yeah.
And he got on the drive, and I noticed Saturday the track had a lot of ruts in it compared to Thursday, Friday. It was just bumpy, you know.
So must have got it a little too wet.
Well, I don't know what he did, but he got on the driver's stand and he said, "Fellas, I apologize the way the track was." He says, I have equipment. I want to try this new equipment out I have. And he says, I went on there and I screwed it up.
Ouch.
And he said,
he owned it. That's good that he
owned it.
And
and I'm the same way. Sometimes I think, man, if I just maybe do this, it might be better. And then I screw it up.
Yeah, good. In the world of surgery, there's a phrase that says the enemy of good is better. I mean, if it's good, then let's just run with it because all you can do is screw it up.
Yeah. He had a deal where he had something he dragged behind his tractor to kind of scrape the top and stuff. I was really interested in his equipment. Matter of fact, during down times, I was walking around behind his deal and I was looking at all his equipment. Now he's got his tractors are so much better than mine.
Well, but he's also running a business that requires the use of that technology.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean,
and so I was looking
Gator
at his
farm,
equipment.
sure.
He has this rotor tiller, which I would love to have for my track. It's one, instead of the roller tiller that goes this way, it's one that have the spikes that go around and twists.
Okay.
You'll see it at Knoxville. You'll see it at the track in Tulsa, and it twists, and then it's got a big roller behind it that rolls it
rolls it back in.
And I thought, man, I like to have one of those, but it takes hydraulics, and I don't have that because my tractor doesn't have a hydraulic unit. It has a PTO, but no hydraulics.
Right.
So Chris says stuck up bullshit. That's what we called him, stuck up. Russell Decker says my boy got better after we softened his springs up in the rear as far as a fifth scale. Okay. I didn't know your boy was racing. Did he race in the what they call it, the beginner class, I believe it was. Oh boy, you got a lot of. Brian
Brian.
Howard says should have gave him the boot. That's what Chris Stump said. Chris finished third behind me, and he says, "Man," he says, "I washed the car." He says, "Why didn't you give him the chrome bumper?" And I said, "I can't do that." He says, "Oh
Chrome
no,
horn,
you gotta give him the horn." He says, "I would do it." I says, "Well, yeah, but you guys are friends."
Right.
Todd says, my problem was I changed too many things, shouldn't have touched it. Live and learn. I was proud of the guys. That's one thing about Todd. Okay, here's, and if Todd, you're on, I'm going to tell you this. When you're beating Todd, when somebody's beating Todd Holloway, okay, that boy gets serious. I mean, he puts his game, and when you really see him break out the scales, oh, you're in trouble.
At that point, the mad scientist is in the mad scientist.
Yeah, he went from Jekyll and Hyde.
Yep. He's all friendly. Everything's good.
I was watching him, and he was leaning over, looking at his car like this, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, he's having trouble, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I looked over, and he's breaking out the scales. So I thought, oh, shoot, we're all in trouble now.
That's awesome.
Yep. Russell says
his track. Where is it? Your question was, is his track in Gladstone?
And it must be around there. Okay, great.
That's a straight shot on I-80 too, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, I think Russell, we're going to try to get you on our list for next year. If if you want us back, if you want us at our quarter scale cars out there to do our series. Russell Decker says, "Oh yeah, that's Chris's playground." Yep, it sure is.
I'm not sure which Chris from
Chris Wall, probably.
Wall. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Todd Holloway starts laughing. And then Russell Decker says, "No, sir, he was running super late model. This was a learning curve for us. He did a good job for the big boys." Okay, great. Well, let's do a quick video of what the track looked like, guys. We'll see how they'll.
Very cool, man. Very cool. That was cool. Yeah, that looked like that would have been an amazing time for sure. That would have been cool.
I never knew how to get these things. They just never used to do that. But so anyway, guys, that he watered the hell out of the track, no doubt about it. Yeah. He definitely watered the track for sure. Let me get down. There you go.
You got all the snow off your track now, right? I mean, that's all melted off.
It's all gone. I put a new blade on the tractor today, and I thought about going out and working it, trying to move because it's all goofed up from me tearing the track up in the fall,
right?
And it's still too muddy for me to get out just yet.
Start sliding around.
The series that we have, and I'll post this paper here if I can get it on. There it is. This is our dirt series for the quarter scale guys, and that's kind of the points. This is a rough draft. I'm hoping Kim can come in there, and she's better at Excel than I am. But we have one throwout, which is in red, and of course you can see the total points right now is Todd Holloway, Chris Stump, and myself is third. Paul's fourth. Of course, once you start doing throwouts, things will change. So our next race is Outlaw Raceway Park is our next change. So, you can see that. So that's kind of what we're doing. It's kind of between Holloway Graphics and myself to do this, and we're going to have some plaques at the end of the year.
Nice.
And this is for the Gators, and then of course Outlaw 1, Outlaw 2 is because we have two mains. Worlds 1, World 2, where we go Liberty, they'll have 2 mains, and so we just add the series in. Now next year, if we get Sebastian Speedway on there, there'll be another track listed on
Nice.
there. But you can see that we have 10 guys so far registered for the Dirt Nationals. Liskey couldn't make it because, well, guess where he was at?
Yeah, no
Hawaii.
kidding.
Hawaii.
Rough life.
Well,
Rough
yeah,
life.
really rough life. So, so anyway, that's kind of what we doing there. So, I'm gonna remove that. So anyway, it's a dirt challenge series for quarter scale. It's something new that we're trying this year, and hopefully we'll get more and more drivers involved in quarter scale and go from there. So, but yeah, we had a really great time. And it's all about the fifth scales. They probably a couple things that they did probably didn't wasn't what we did. We don't like to drive our cars to the pits. We pull our cars or pick them up. And I don't know. That's just to me kind of dangerous. And the other thing is they only have one inlet and outlet, and that gets kind of clogged up after a while. Plus, on the driver's stand, you can't see around everybody
Right.
walking up the stairs or standing down there. So, and I don't want to hit anybody when I'm popping up and over the track, and
Right.
next your car's way out there in the corner there. So, but it's their track, it's their rules, and we abide by them. Otherwise, we don't race. That's the bottom line. And but boy, I tell you again, you guys, you got to put you do have to show up. If you race fifth scales, Chuck, man, go up there sometime.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of classes. They got pro stock, they got stock modified, open modified, sprints, pro. They got so many different classes you can get into without being in the way of super late models. So, yeah, it was a great time, great fellowship. Met some new drivers, which is good. Enjoyed that. Yeah, it was a great time.
Awesome.
See what
Very good.
else we got. Let's see, I think we already had that. Yeah.
Yep.
Would love to have you all come down, definitely. So, but anyway, guys, Chuck, you got anything else for me for questions?
That's it. Like you got 5 weeks left or 6 weeks left, so I got 5 weeks to not do anything and then scramble for the last week. So,
well, I went out and worked on mine, and I, my car took a couple good hits, and it held up, and I had to fix a rear bumper. It got kind of bent up. I rechanged a switch in my car because I didn't think the battery was holding on right, and I put a new switch in this weekend. What else did I do? I cleaned it, put my 305 motor in for this year's racing. We're going to run with Don Liskey and some other guys with the 305 class, Mike Garrett and stuff. So I'm looking forward to running the 305. It's a little bit of down horsepower, but I'm looking forward to that. So I got that sprint car ready to go. Really no damage to speak of, just things to fix.
Good, clean driving.
Stock car chassis, I'm getting them ready to go down to Veterans Park Speedway, and then heading down the Asphalt Nationals. So, but so that's pretty much what I did. I know Listy called me this morning and he said, well, I need to start working on my car. And I thought, oh, okay, Don, I believe that when I see it. So
that's all right. At least he's got a plan. He's talking about it.
So where are you at in your before we?
Actually, I was thinking about this weekend. It's supposed to be tomorrow's in the 50s. So a lot of it for me was just with all the help. I had a tooth crack earlier this year. I had to have that extracted. So yeah, since January, I feel like I've spent more time sitting in the dang, lazy boy than I have been out in the trailer getting my car ready. I didn't make it out to Jensen at all this year. Every Saturday we had something going, or I was fighting something else. So, but all everything's cleaned up, so that's good. I'll check see how they're doing, and I'll change the shock oil, of course. But I'm ready to go, man. I'm excited for the season to get going.
Well, I know everybody went to that barn raceway. Mike Garrett and
big group going down there.
And Dennis and Brandon went down to spend time there. So I couldn't make it this year. I got too much going on in my life to go down and race. But anyway, Chuckles, that's about it. Good show tonight, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
We're going to probably be back on April 11th. That's our plan, I think, to have Brian Howard.
If it works for Brian. And
if it works for everybody, get the co-chairs on and talk about CUSAC. They did do an insurance change, so it might be interesting to listen to them, what caused all that. So otherwise, I don't have anything else.
Nope, I'm good.
Nope. All righty, man.
Awesome.
Live from Outlaw Raceway Park, we are signing off.
Take care, guys.
See ya.